Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video on my channel, Meg's Movies. If you are new to this channel, this is basically where I talk to you guys about my passion for movies. This goes from collections, hauls, reviews, and today's video, so let's get into it. Okay, and we are back with another year, and we are on to 1992. And yet again, kind of like with the year before, I struggled to pick ones for these. The top two are my main two. The rest are all ones that I enjoy, but just not as much as the first two. Which, to be honest, it might surprise some people that some of these, well, there's one film that I reckon people will be surprised is above certain other films. So this might be one of the more controversial lists, and I can't say that word. The more mixed list, I think. But yet again, there's some I don't own. There's 3 of these that I don't own, so I'll be showing you the physical of what I have, and then the ones I haven't. So yeah, so let's get into my top 10 movies of 1992. Okay, so at number 10, we have Lethal Weapon 3. I had to think of which Lethal Weapon then, but I remembered it's Lethal Weapon 3. So me and my mum watched these, I think it was like last year or something like that. And I actually ended up enjoying these more than I thought I would. I had a good laugh with them, good body cop films, and that's why I went for Lethal Weapon 3 when I was coming up with this list, because out of the films I have seen, because if you are new to this series and you haven't watched the other two yet, this is the third one. If you haven't seen the other 2 yet, these are the movies that I have seen so far. So there's some classics that have come out in the past couple of years that I might have not seen. So hence why Lethal Weapon 3 made the list. But hence why it's at number 10, because this is the one I've only ever watched once. So until I watch it again, or unless something else comes up that I haven't seen before that I might enjoy, then this is at the third one. But honest to God, this is actually a pretty good franchise. I heard there's supposed to be a Lethal Weapon 5 happening. We'll see how that goes. But no, if you want a good body cop film, this is one I recommend. Okay, and the next 2 I don't physically own. So at number 9, we have Wayne's World, party time, excellent. Yes, I've watched that a couple of times now, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I first watched Wayne's World, which was either beginning of this year or end of last year, I can't really remember the first time I watched it. I wasn't a massive fan of it. I did find some enjoyment out of it, but not as much as other people. I know this is a classic comedy to some, but I will say, every time I have rewatched this film since, I've enjoyed it a little bit more. The humour's got to me more, and I've laughed at it more, and I can now see why a lot of people enjoy it. Obviously it's Mike Myers. I do enjoy Mike Myers, and I love the fact that I learned something about that film in the fact of the Bohemian Rhapsody scene. That was quite a fun fact to learn. But it's a comedy that's a little bit odd. I know it's based on an SNL sketch, I believe. Now, I will say I've not really watched much in the way of SNL. I've seen clips on YouTube of like the Jim Carrey skits, but I've never watched the Wayne's World one. So for me, I kind of went into this film not really knowing much about Wayne's World. So I think that's why it didn't attach to me as it would have done some other people. But like I said, it is growing on me, and every time I watch it, I find a new laughing moment. I find a new line that I find funny. So, you know, this one continues to grow on me, and who knows, maybe in the future it might move up in the list, or it might just stay on the list as it is. So yeah, that was number 9. Okay, and at number 8, we have Army of Darkness. Now, I only watched the Evil Dead franchise last year in prep for Evil Dead Rise, and not in prep for Evil Dead Rise, because I watched Evil Dead Rise, then I watched the Evil Dead films. So after watching Evil Dead Rise. And you know what? I quite enjoy this film. It's not as good as the others, because it goes full-on slapstick comedy for most of it. So I will say I struggle with it a little bit in the sense of I preferred the creepiness of the other 2 films over the comedy side of it. But I will say I do get enjoyment out of this. I like Ash as a character. I do think some of the lines that come out of this film is hilarious. There's some very weird moments that stand out quite a bit in my head, which is quite funny. But if I will be completely honest, for me, I prefer Army of Darkness over Evil Dead 2 a little bit more. But like I said, I have only watched these films once all the way through, so I do need to watch them. And in fact, Evil Dead Rise, Army of Darkness, is one of the only Evil Dead films I actually don't own now. I own the others, just not that one. But no, I had to put Army of Darkness on here because, like I said, I did get enjoyment out of it. There were some funny moments, but I think I just prefer the creepiness of the Deadites over the comedy side of things. I did like Ash versus the Evil Dead. That show was hilarious. I think where it comes to shows, that worked out as a comedy quite well. But with the films, because of how creepy Evil Dead Rise was when I watched that, then I watched Evil Dead and how creepy that was. So it's sort of like, for me, I like the creepy Deadites more than the comedy Deadites. Is that the best way of explaining it? Yeah, I think that's the best way of explaining it. But no, Army of Darkness, a fun film, enjoyable, bit weird, but overall, I would happily watch it again. And I mean, I can't wait to add it to my collection to give it a rewatch. Because, I did enjoy it. Okay, and at number 7, we have Beethoven. Yes, I will be honest here, my sister was more of a fan of this than I was. When it came to the dog films growing up, I was more Homeward Bound, she was more Beethoven. But over the years, rewatching this from time to time, I have found some more enjoyment out of it, and hence why this is at my number 7. Because, honestly, this is good. This is like a cute little dog film. Obviously, Beethoven ends up being the Saint Bernard, who ends up being like this big dog, and you've got the dad who's not really a massive dog person, and it's funny, it's cute, it's adorable. If you want a cute dog film that doesn't involve the dog getting ill or dying or anything like that, some certain films like to do that, then I would seriously recommend this film. There is some dark tones to this in the sense of the bad guy in this film. So I will say, don't think it's all lovey-dovey. Because, like I said, there is a bit of a dark moment in this, so be wary. But that's what it was in the 90s. We were allowed to be a bit dark in our humour and things, so just sort of like, you'll enjoy it, but just be wary of possible dark moments. Okay, and at number 6, we have Sister Act. I had to include Sister Act because when I saw this come out in 1992, I thought it had to make the list. As much as I've already picked out the top 5, I knew this had to be near the top 5 because it is fun. Whoopi Goldberg as, what's the character's name again? Ona Mae Brown? Is it Ona Mae Brown? No, that's Ghost. No, is it? I'm going to just not even try. Dolores. Dolores is her name. I read the back. I found it. But no, this is certainly a bit of a different film, but fun. And I do enjoy both Sister Act films. I know they're working on a third one, so I will 100% be watching that film. But this is one of those ones that, although it came out in the 90s, I didn't really watch this until probably like the 2010s, probably, I think, was when I first watched these films. But no, I had to include it. Whoopi Goldberg, absolutely amazing actress. She's so funny. And yeah, looking forward to Sister Act 3. Okay, and at number 5, we have Of Mice and Men. So I watched this film in school because when we was in school, it was a case of when you read the book, if there was a film, they made you watch the film as well. Obviously, because they know that kids, obviously my generation and that, didn't really read in much a way of books. We were slowly getting into the whole watching films stuff. So, of course, they made us watch this when we were reading this book. And I was quite surprised at how emotional I got during this film. And ever since then, literally, I picked it up just because I watched it in class. Like, it's well acted, it's well directed. It's got John Malkovich in it, it's got Gary Sines, it's got some other ones, I don't know the names. But our two main leads are absolutely amazing. Him He honestly makes me the most emotional just because of how his character is. The acting in this is really good. If you have not watched this, I'd recommend you do, because it is an emotional film. It does have some very dark tones to it. So, like, yet again, give you pre-warning, it can be a bit dark. Someone's riding a motorbike outside the house. But it is very well acted. And I think is it John Malkovich? Yeah, John Malkovich as Lenny. Oh my god, makes me cry every single time I watch this film, especially the end. If you have seen this film, you know what I mean. But yet again, I had to include this on my list because as much as I don't return to this that much, I still think this is a really good film. So seriously, if you have not watched it, I recommend you do. Okay, and at number 4, I had to put this above Of Mice and Men just because I have a lot more memories attached to this. So normally when it comes to the top like 5, there's normally more memories attached to it than the other films. And at number 4, it is Muppets Christmas Carol. This is a film that became a tradition for me that I watched every Christmas Eve just before midnight, just to get me in the hype for Christmas Day. I didn't do it last year or the past couple of years, to be honest, but I do like to add it on the list because it is a cute little film. I'm not a massive Muppets fan. I will be completely honest with you here. I'm not the woohoo, let's watch a Muppets film, you know, like, I find the Muppets to be okay. But I did grow up with them. So it's one of those things that A Christmas Carol was one I owned on VHS, watched it every Christmas, got myself hyped for Christmas. And it's just one that, because of the memories attached to it, I always add it to my watch list every single year. Just because of all the songs. I mean, there's the one that's sung by the Christmas present ghost. It Feels Like Christmas. I had to think of the title then. The song was playing in my head, but I was waiting for the title to come in. Like, I like that song. That's one of my favourite songs from the film, actually. But I like how it's a different retelling on... Well, it's not a different retelling, but it's certainly a different take on the Christmas Carol movie. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I prefer that over the Jim Carrey one. And that's saying something because I love Jim Carrey. But the Jim Carrey Disney one we got, I will always return to the Muppets Christmas Carol one, as weird as that sounds. But no, I grew up with this film, so hence why that is at my number 4. Okay, at my number 3, this will surprise some people. They might have thought this might be a little bit higher, but it's not. But in all fairness, I have only watched this film once, but it's stuck in my head that much that I did put it up higher. And that is Candyman. I'm not going to say his name anymore, because I do not wish to call his name out. This was my first time watch, I think, last year or the year before. Really can't remember. But I thought how creepy this film was, the urban legend side of it, the acting. I mean, Tony Todd just creeped me the hell out as this character. And I still have yet to watch the other films apart from... So I've watched this one and the more recent one we got, the 2018, 2019? The more recent one we've got. So I have not seen the others. I haven't heard many good things about the others. But I had to put this up higher compared to some of these because of the shock value that this had for me. And as I say, it's one that I will add to my Halloween watch list every year, even if I get around to it or not. But if you want a creepy Halloween film, this is one I'd go for. And this is the Arrow one, so of course I got the Arrow one. Okay, so this will surprise some people, my number 2 spot. Because this is not a very liked film. But you know what? It's all about honesty in this channel. And I had to put it at my number 2 because of the cheese factor, the weird acting, the weird storyline, and it became one of my favourite TV shows. So if it weren't for this film, I would not got one of my favourite TV shows. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, this is at my number 2. But that is because I like this film so much. It makes me laugh. It's the cheesy acting. It's the weird performances. It's just the storyline, the quotes, just everything about this is cheesy. What was it? Movies in Sue say? Cheesy Velveeta goodness. At least for me, anyway. I like the cheese factor, honestly. I mean, I will say the ending is a little bit odd. Honestly, that kind of knocks it down for me. But I still have fun watching this. And if it weren't for this film, we wouldn't have got the TV show. So, and that TV show is one of my absolute favourite shows of all time. In fact, I think it's my number one, to be honest, if I had to think about the TV shows I've seen. But no, just weird movie, but fun nonetheless. Okay, and at my number one, hands down, I had to put this at my number one just because of the simple fact of I laugh at this film every time I watch it. The songs are amazing, the animation's amazing, and that is Aladdin. I had to include Aladdin. There's no way I weren't going to. It's such a good film. It's one of the this is more like my top 5 of the 90s Disney films, I think. Because it's Robin Williams as the genie, absolutely hands down amazing. Will Smith did do a good job in the live action, but for me it'll always be Robin Williams. The songs in this are lovely. A Whole New World, One Jump Ahead. You know, there's so many good songs in this. Good characters, a good storyline, and honestly, lovely animation, especially when it comes to the magic side of things. Looks amazing. So many one-liners. I mean, you got Iago the parrot, absolutely fun character, even though he's a little bit annoying. He is a fun character to watch. But just overall, such a good film. And hence why I had to be at my number one compared to all of these. Because of the memories, the laughter, and every time I watch this film, I never get bored. So thank you, Robin Williams, for giving us such an amazing character of the genie. And I look forward to giving this a rewatch at some point in the future. Okay, so that is my top 10 movies of 1992. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and that is usually a subscriber mail reviews video, so you will not be getting another year one tomorrow. So it'll either be Wednesday or Friday. I haven't fully decided yet. But yes, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then do give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button and also notification bell down below to be notified when I post. And also leave me your comments and thoughts on the top 10 movies of 1992. What would be your top 10? I'd love to know, because like I said, there are films from the 90s that I have not seen that are absolute classics. So there might have been films from 1992 that I haven't seen, that you guys have, that you enjoy. So I'd love to know your guys' lists. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!